This is the day after. These are the tools we used to get the lift kit on the syncro. So we're going to show you the process that we did. We had not all the correct tools, so we had to improvise. But we'll show you lifting up the syncro. Put it on 2-inch GoWesty lift springs, the Fox shocks on all 4 corners, and the Burley Motorsports upper control arm. And we'll show you all of our mistakes that we made. Hopefully it helped some of you not make the same mistakes. We are not mechanics, so this is not an instructional video, but it's definitely something that you can do yourself. You just have to have a little patience and a lot of time. It is an absolute gorgeous day here in Alaska. Don't have too many of these left before that cold winter starts to show up. I got my #1 helper here, and we are getting ready to install all this. Got the GoWesty lift springs, Fox shocks front and rear, Burley Motorsports upper A-arms. In the boxes is front and rear disc brake kits from Burley. My Vanagon already has the upgraded front and rear brakes, but it's got drums in the rear and it's got solid rotors in the front, so I went ahead and upgraded to the Burley. But this is the start, so hopefully I don't have too many issues. I'm sure I'll have plenty, but I'll bring you guys along for the journey. We'll go with a starting height of, it's like almost 31.5 on the front. Bear. And the rear is at 30 3/4. So that's our starting height. We're getting ready to start jacking and pulling parts. What we have done so far, we got the brake caliper off and hanging. Those were exceptionally tight bolts. We got everything sprayed down. Got the upper A-arm bolt broke loose. Got these broke loose. Those are 5/16, not metric like I was expecting, so luckily we had one of those. This particular is an Allen wrench, and that is a 14mm. Had to go get one of those. Did not have one of those. The upper shock tower nut was spinning. Luckily it broke loose. Got the lower shock mount just about all the way out. And that's where we're at so far. Got the spring compressor right here. I rented at the local parts store. And we're making headway now. I got my son is coming to help, and I got my buddy Drew with me. And we're getting after it. So hopefully we'll make some progress here, and we'll try to film as we go. Everything is broke loose. Got the spring compressed. But that nut right there, holy goodness, is it not wanting to come out at all. So now we got to figure that one out. But everything else is ready to come apart. I'm already missing a bunch of skin off the back of that knuckle and that one and that one. So we're having a good time now. That's how we know we're having fun. This is my son Justin. He's currently working on the shock because I was having too much fun and he was feeling left out, so he decided to hop in there and wrench on it a little bit.
Let's see if we can do any better.
Drew went for a parts run at his house. He's just getting back. Luckily he lives 1 street over, so he was riding a 1-wheel. We got it out. We cheated because it was not coming out, so we got the old Sawzall. That nut came off. Now we were trying to get the new one in, and we've still got to compress that spring quite a bit more. It's not wanting to go in yet. Everything is disassembled up there. Got food on the grill. We're hungry, so we're gonna grab a bite to eat, kind of reset and get back after it here, but we're getting closer. We almost had it. Justin finagled it enough and it all went together. Now he's Just loosening the spring compressors up to get them out of the way. Of course, you could rattle them on with the impact gun, but you can't get to them to take them off.
Kiddos and the neighbors.
We are on to side number 2. And, of course, the shock is once again being a pain in the ass and just turning, so we are not having much fun with it. Drew's on it. Got this one all tore apart. Everything's ready to go back in. Gotta compress the spring. Get the shock put back together. And put the upper A arm on. And this one will be done too.
That's top one out. Bottom one out.
These spring compressors are a real pain in the tush. It's close, I see daylight.
There we
One.
go.
Only one to go.
This is what we had to do last time. Tony paint.
There she goes. There she goes.
And that's
And it's
why
free.
it looks like that.
A little paint, that's all good. So we ran out of weather last night, and it got dark on us and everything else. So this is where we got to. We had this one installed, and as you can see, there's something missing at the top there. Well, when we didn't bother to put the nut on there and we let the jack down, everything pulled back out. So now we're having to try to put the spring compressors back on to compress the spring to start the whole entire process over again. So a good mistake we learned from. So we'll have to repeat. This side was going together way easier and we screwed up. So we figured we'd wait until tonight or this morning to start over from last night. We are back to reset. Now we'll get everything up inside there like it's supposed to. Problem we were having was this sleeve was hitting on the hole that's up here in the top of the shock tower, and it wasn't allowing it to drop down in there because it was hanging here on this lip. So now that we've got it completely reset, we'll slide it up into the top first, and we'll worry about down there in a little while. We'll see if that makes this a little easier because it's plenty abusive already. After a couple hours of extra pain and suffering that I've put myself through, everything's installed except for my sway bar here. I'll put that back on when I get the other side lined up. I'm gonna do the brakes on another day because I'm running out of weather. Unfortunately, I gotta mount the reservoir back there, but everything's in, everything's tight. Springs took a little beating on some paint, which is no big deal. Got the brake lines sprayed for when I remove them, but everything else is pretty much buttoned up on this side. That was a real pain in the butt, but it's on and correct. Putting the bolt through for the A-arm was not a very fun experience, but we got it. That probably took us an hour of fidgeting, but it finally fell right in. So I'm gonna get this reservoir mounted up and get this wheel back on. We'll move on to the back. We have the front done. As you can see, it's got a little bit of a rake to it. It sits level in my driveway for the first time. It's 35 inches now to the bottom of the wheel arch. It was 31 and a half when I started, I think. But definitely gained some ground clearance. She's got plenty now. Okay, it's a new day. We're trying to put the lift spring in, and of course, can't get this to go down. Can't get those to break loose. And it just doesn't want to clear. So now we're gonna get to do some figuring, and oh yeah, these spring compressors, they suck. But of course it's the only kind that they have in the entire town that I live in, so that's kind of what we're stuck with. An hour later, and a lot more compression on the spring, and it finally finagled its way on. Now to take it all back apart. Everything is installed. Fox shocks, 2-inch lift spring. Now we just got to put a wheel on it. See how she sits on this side. There it is. Front end is definitely too high. We're gonna have to lower the front end just a little bit. But we got this side done. Now we'll go to the other side. Side number 2 is out. We're gonna compress the spring. That's noisy. Got the ever vigilant watchdog on duty. Didn't film much on this side. It's like always, it was a pain in the ass. But we do have Fox shocks on, lift springs are on, back end's up 2 inches. Now we gotta lower the front end a couple inches, it's too high. We're done for the day. The rear is done. But now that we've got the rear done, now I can tell you that the front end is way too high. So that's tomorrow's. We're gonna bring the front end back down. Apparently you can't use the online stuff for the shocks because it doesn't give you the right ride height. But that's a problem for tomorrow. It'd be nice if it was that high, but the rear would never work. Day 4, still wrenching. You're having to recompress the springs to get the lower part of the shock there to adjust down because it's adjusted too high. That was why we're 4.5 inches high instead of 2. Because don't use the GoWesty 2.5 Fox shock adjustment because it doesn't work with this particular Fox shock. Anyhow, we're making progress. It's just a lot of missing skin, like right there and off the back of the knuckles. So we're having a good time so far. But Drew's loving life. Progress. This side's all redone. It's sitting a little high because it's up on a jack right now. Drew's bringing the shock tower back down to where it should be. He tapped in for a few. Got a good rhythm going. Just getting everything readjusted. It would really be nice if we had the correct spring compressor, but nowhere in my local area has one. So we're doing it the hard way. But we're making progress. It should be done here, hopefully within the hour. Another 5 hours of adjustments. Now the front end is sitting correctly. We'll go ahead and give you a measurement here from before and after. So now the ride height is right at 31 3/4. Everything underneath is sitting nicely. We'll go to the rear. 32 1/2. So it definitely looks better. Gave me a little more height. So tell me what you think in the comments. Was it worth it? Now we got to do the disc brakes, but we're out of weather. It's supposed to start raining after tomorrow, so we may not get to those until another day. That was a lot of work with the improper tools for sure. Go to this side and do it again. 31 3/4. 31 3/4. So setting's pretty level. And I'm sure once it's bounced around a little bit, everything will settle in where it's supposed to be permanently. Anyhow, like and subscribe if you've seen anything you like. Any comments, questions, let me know and we'll get back to you. So I went for my test ride, and as you can see, for some reason my brakes are, or my caliper itself is dragging on the rotor, so I'm not sure what happened. I'm gonna pull the brakes back off real quick and make sure everything's put together right. But yeah, another adventure. Having a good time so far. Yeah, now you can see all this stuff. That's where the reservoir's mounted for the front shock. Everything's all bolted in. It's definitely a very tight fit right there on the shock, but it clears and it does not hit. That's where I thought originally it was rubbing when I was driving, but when I got to looking through the wheel, I could see the rotor, that the rotor was nice and shiny. So I'll fix that real quick and I'll put the wheel back on. I just had it all the way apart. Everything's correctly installed. I don't know why all of a sudden it's so offset to this side. As soon as you snug the bolts up, bam, right on the rotor instantly. I've done lots of brake jobs, so this one's the new one. I'll have to do a little more looking here and figure out why it's shifting over so far. Well, live and learn, I guess. There's supposed to be the washer that I had on here on the bolt was actually supposed to be in between as a spacer. Wasn't paying attention when I took it apart, apparently. I've never seen one like that, but yeah, when the rotor's tight, it fits perfect. So, gotta go to the other side and do that one next, because I'm sure I did it the same way on both. And the video evidence suggests that yes, again, I failed to put the spacers in the correct spot, apparently. So we'll be fixing that here in a second. It's a couple days later after I cut the video off. Sorry about that. I didn't film a whole lot there towards the last little bit when we were readjusting everything, just because that nice 6-hour job that I was hoping, or even an 8-hour job, turned into a 5-day project. Mostly due to my own ignorance and not having the proper tools, but we didn't have any tools around in the area. I would have had to order some offline, and it would have taken a few more weeks. And as you can see, the weather's starting to change as this is more of our rainy month. And since that will not fit in my garage, we had to do it in the driveway. So after a couple days of driving, would I do it again? Absolutely. Love the ride. I like the extra 2 inches on the height. I was rubbing a little bit right there in the corner with these bigger tires, and that's gone. Rides like a Cadillac on the Fox shocks. I still have tons of adjustment and tons of adjustment left in the shocks to play with, so that'll take a little while to get really dialed in, but right now it rides like a Cadillac and very happy with it. The Burley Motorsports upper A-arms, a little bit of a pain in the butt to put on just because the washers they're so precision. It's not like the factory ones that you really got to be on your A game, but once they're on, those things are amazing. I love the Fox shocks. I love the GoWesty lift springs. So would I do it again? Yeah, absolutely. Not even a question. Can the average mechanic do it? Yep. If you have a basic knowledge of tools and you have the correct tools, I'd say heck yeah, very easy. Nothing real complicated about it. Just make sure you have the proper tools to do the job. Love the way it's riding. It's been a lot of fun. Actually turning wrenches again. It's been a long time since I got to turn wrenches. I've got a lot of upgrades still coming. So stay tuned. They're definitely, as soon as we get a break in this weather, I'll be back out here putting the brakes on. Oh, my helper's running off. Apparently I was boring him. Anyhow, everybody out there, you guys take care and stay tuned. There's more coming.